Mense sukkel maar as jy met die een hand moet werk. Goeiemôre dames en here. Ons geëerde gaste, Raadslid Miller, die gevangenisdienste. Unfortunately, I am going to give my speech in English. I am predominantly English, so please excuse the change of language. I know the rest of the day has been done in Afrikaans, but please bear with me. First of all, my name is Sean Snyman, and I have decided to confess. That's right. I can no longer keep quiet about my past, and today I have to tell you all that I am a rehabilitated drug experimenter. I've tried dagga, I've tried speed, uppers, downers, and even tried ecstasy. Not because of choice, but because of circumstances. Life makes it far too easy for us to get hold of these drugs. And as a youngster, like most of us, we face challenges. And we look for excuses and other ways out. And the easiest thing today, and that has been in the past, is to turn towards drugs. Nobody wants to become an addict. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to become an addict. It all starts off with that one little experiment. You walk into a room and other people are using it. So in other words, what happens is they say to you, you can't leave the room, otherwise you're going to split on me. Try it for yourself. It's lekker. So what do? One little puff won't hurt me. That one puff today turns into another puff in a week's time, which turns into one every day. And eventually, before you know it, just like nicotine and cigarettes, you can't do without it anymore. But I'm fortunate because through all my experimentation, I never found the need to go back to it. But not everyone is that fortunate. And I think we can debate about this as much as we want to. Some people only need that first chance and it's over. Other people like myself will try it and turn away from it. And if I've spoken to a lot of psychologists and psychiatrists and they've all said to me, ek moes al lank al in groendakkies gewees het. Want my lewenservaring het my gedryf in rigtings wat ek nie aan enige mens sal toewens nie. We all believe that it won't happen to me. That is the problem. Ek sal nooit verslaaf raak aan dit nie. Nie op dwelms nie, nie op drank nie. Ek is die myn manne. I'm in control. But you're not. What starts off as a socializing and using a drug here and there becomes a disease that takes up your whole life. You can't wait for the next puff or the next needle, whatever happens. And before you know it, you don't even realize it. Your life revolves around that next fix. We stand here today on the brink of a new age, a time where government, both national and provincial, have realized that there is no more time to remain inactive against these problems. A time where the authorities have realized that substance abuse has become out of control and the entire world is fighting an enemy that is more powerful than a single army. An enemy that is uses no heavy weapons necessarily, but an enemy that is moving in the shadows and is being protected by societies. We heard it before. We all know where the drug house is. We all know who the drug dealers are. But what are we doing about it? We fear for our lives, so we keep quiet. But my question is, one drug lord, 5,000 inhabitants, who's the majority? Why are we staying quiet? Why are we doing nothing about it? That is our choice. And if we don't do anything about it, we are part of the problem and not the solution. Before we start to plot a way forward on how to combat the growing abuse of substances, such as hardcore drugs, alcohol, and all the other addictions, and before we start trying to find the answers to what we want to do and accomplish, or how we're going to achieve our goals, we need to establish something that I've grown to realize is the fundamental question that needs to be solved in order to focus. Why? If we can answer the why are our children so inept in fighting this? Why are we allowing drugs to take over our lives? Why are we doing nothing about it? When we solve that question, and only then can we consider what we're going to do about it and how we're going to handle it in the future and how we're going to find the solutions. Sorry. Have you ever been walking next to a child in the stores and you say vir hou op? Wat is die vraag wat terugkom? Hoekom? Why? Why do I have to do this? And you answer that question and there's another why. And as far as you go, it's another why. And why are our children doing that? Because they want the answer to that in order to understand the instruction properly. And that is what I'm saying here today. Unless we answer that why to all the questions, we can never focus on the what and how. Human beings are by nature habitual, and it is reported that through studies that a habit can be established or broken by repeatedly doing the same thing for a period of 21 days. It can either be broken or formed within 21 days. And what I'm saying today is, if we want to change, we need to change our habits. Because we can no longer do what we've been doing and expect different results. Life has no replay button. We can't change the past, but we can change the future. I don't claim to have all the answers, but unless we ask the questions, we'll never find the answers. Through my experiences, I believe, and I believe me, I may still only be 21 years old. I can end, and I will list a few of the reasons that I believe are the cause of some of the reasons why people turn to these life-altering habits. People use drugs in their lives because their lives are either intolerable or intolerably painful or extremely dull. They have developed an innate hatred for life, their work, or their circumstances, and their minds never find rest, even when they're trying to find in a relaxing situation. So they go and leave and their minds are still working and they're working to their problems. We never let go. We tend to have this mindset that everything is in a rush. And the more we move in society where things are becoming faster, quicker, better, the less we actually find our minds relaxing. And people turn to drugs, not everybody, don't get me wrong for 1 second. They turn to drugs to escape. And by escaping that one time, and the minute they have a good experience, they return to that experience the whole time. And that's where the whole addiction begins. So what I've come up with is my own little way of thinking about things. And I attribute it to attitude. The word attitude. What does attitude stand for? Let's start off with the letter A. We need to acknowledge the problem. Because unless we acknowledge that, we don't, and you can speak to drug addicts. You can speak to, I'm a smoker. But ask me whether I really have a problem. No, I don't have a problem. I'm in control of it. But I have to acknowledge the fact that I have a problem before I can do anything about it. The first T, let's talk about it. Discuss the issues that are bothering you. What is driving you towards finding alternatives to the normal life? Because drug addiction is not a normal life. Alcohol abuse is not a normal life. Then the second T, take ownership. You have to take ownership of your own choices at the end of the day, because every choice we make, we might think that by doing something for ourselves, it's only about us. But the fact that you become an addict affects everybody around you, whether you like it or not. Your choices involve everybody in your community, your family, your children, your parents, and the whole town eventually. I. And it's not I, myself, me, myself, I. It's identify the problem areas, identify the stakeholders who are going to work towards solving the problem, and then also identify through a holistic approach of getting more and more people involved, identify the solutions. This next T, I put down to teach good practices. Parents, it starts with you. These children sitting in front here need role models. They need to find somewhere that they can associate with that are going to teach them the good things in life, the right things to do. And the problem is that a lot of our youngsters are growing up with these idols that are making mega money as singers, but not local. Justin Bieber's and those people. Then they read in the newspaper, but he was caught speeding his car. He had an accident. He'd used drugs. So what do? If their idol can do it, I can do it. But that's normal. That's reg so. Then the you. Very difficult. And I've learned a lot of it in my life, in that when it comes time to stand united, and you ask people to stand up for what they believe in, dan sien jy hoe spartel mense in die ander rigting. Ons as gemeenskap staan nie meer by mekaar nie. Inteendeel, hoeveel van die mense wat hier so sit vandag ken eintlik jou bure? How can we expect a town to stand together when we can't even stand together as families? And once we unite and we identify these issues and we stand together, we will start making a difference in our lives and our children's lives and their lives after. D. Determine desired outcomes. We all know what we want, but we have to follow and stick to those decisions. Once we've determined the way forward, we need to stick to that on a day-to-day basis. Because I've said it on a number of occasions, I might be this portfolio counsellor for social and community development, but it's not my job. And I don't think anybody that works in the department can actually consider it as a career. We actually live social and community development on a every single day manner. We can't help people if we haven't experienced it ourselves. A leader cannot be a leader unless he has a story that can actually associate with what he's dealing with. And when we look for leaders, look for people that can actually have been where you've been. How can I talk about drug addiction or drugs if I haven't done something about it myself? I haven't had an experience of it. I'm going to share something with you now. A lot of my colleagues don't even know it. My oldest son, 30 years old, is a habitual liar and a drug addict. He was the first Malungu to drive a taxi. That is his ambition. Am I proud of it? No. Have I done something about it? I've tried. But I made the decision that unless I push him away and show him he's not going to have my support for doing the wrong, And when he comes to me and asks me for help, for genuine purposes, I help him. But if I feel it's going to do something to do with in encouraging me with his drugs, there's no ways I can help him. We need to take ownership as parents. Our children are not angels. How many times have I seen parents, when you tell them that their child, and you've witnessed it yourself, and you say to them, but your child stole. Nie my kind nie, hy kon. My kind soms nie dit doen nie. Hy kom dan van so 'n goeie familie af. Ons gee vir hom liefde. Ons gee vir hom aandag. But ladies and gentlemen, you're fooling yourself. Because today it might be a loaf of bread out of a store. Tomorrow, it's a bottle of brandy. The next day, he's got a gun in his hand and he's trying to take a car. Have you helped him? No. Do we help people when they stand on the side of the road and we know their arms are full of needle marks and we give him a 20 or 30 rand? Are we actually helping them? I'm not going to answer that question. You can answer that for yourselves. Are we actually helping them? Are we helping them right or helping them further into their problems? The last of the attitude is the E. And I think this is where we fall short a lot of times. LDAC will only succeed if we continuously evaluate our progress and refocus. It's a working document and a working committee. We cannot say today, this is LDAC, and we move forward and we don't do anything with evaluation. Regular evaluation of the circumstances. What have we achieved? One of the things I keep saying to the staff at community development is, we need to know what our outcomes are, or what to be. But when we've done a project like today, we need to sit back and evaluate, was it a success? Because if we don't evaluate it, we're still also going nowhere. We need to look at our successes and our failures. Note the successes, but work on our failures. None of us sitting here today can turn around and say, you are completely without fault. No single person, I'm the first to say that. But it's what you do when you've realized you've made a mistake and how you try and change that. The old cliche, doesn't matter how many times you fall, it's the last time you get up that makes the difference. And I'm just going to share something personal. When I had my accident 11 years ago, I ended up in a morphine-induced coma. Now, I know there's a lot of people that have said that they are addicted to morphine, pain tablets and stuff like that. And I can tell you quite honestly, the 30 days that I spent in a coma was the worst 30 days of my life. Because unlike what people say, it gives you that euphoria, I had the worst nightmares that I wouldn't even want to share them with you. And I hold on to that every single day of my life. And I say to myself, do I really need a pain tablet? Is it a medical condition that I need it for? Or my psychological well-being? And if it's not for medical purposes, you have to turn away from it. Because any drug, whether it's a prescription drug, there's people that are addicted to prescription drugs. I've watched a woman take 15 Adcodols a day. But if you look at her, there's absolutely nothing wrong with her. And the sad thing about drugs is, a lot of the time, we cannot see it being abused. And that is the sad part, because we're fighting an enemy which is not like guerrilla warfare, where you can actually say, well, that's my enemy, that's my enemy. Drugs is right in between us. You don't know the person that's sitting next to you when it comes to that. But you have to be vigilant. And unless we reach out our hands and take hands and We have no future for our children. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.